a whole bunch of crazy shiggity going on here. Um, yeah. How about those Cowboys? Episode 4, guys.
Folks, we are here to do the review for episode 4 of Dune Prophecy. This show has not lost a beat, y'all. Like, I don't know how much details you guys want to go into it, but there's a moment, folks. There's a scene involving a bunch of people in a room. It was so tense, and we were like, "How is this gonna go down? What's gonna go down?" And just the pacing, the cutting, and just I, I am so grateful the time we're getting to spend time with these characters and the moments they're allowing us to see and seeing how their true colors are being revealed to us. And I'm loving this show. Sam, how do you feel after watching episode 4?
That was a whole lot, bro. That was like when the phrase comes, life comes at you real fast. Like, look, every character in the show, this episode had to deal with that reckoning because the Sisterhood, they had to deal with their own situation. Like the girls literally having the same exact nightmare, and one of the girls about killed herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the sister was kind of like, all right, look, y'all, we're gonna conquer this fear. We're gonna deal with this, right? We're gonna have and I want Ant to talk about this later.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a drawing session. I want you to go and recall back what you did, and you're gonna empower yourselves to run through it. These girls started drawing. They couldn't stop. They were getting pulled deeper and deeper. You could see literally the panic on their eyes. How is that whole scene? How that played out, just like a horror movie, in the same exact vein as what Ronan just talked about, of a scene so tense. We did not know how this was going to go. Like that scene in the courtroom played like a Game of Thrones episode. It really, by the numbers, I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen. That's why I used to love Game of Thrones for those exact reasons. But at the same time, they still elevated, Supreme Mother and the Harkonnen legacy in this episode as well. Like, so it's like they hit 3 different corners in one episode. And sometimes when you try to do that, that doesn't work. With bad writing, this would be a disjointed episode. Yeah. But some kind of way, they kept the pacing going. They progressed the stories, and they also built tension and horror at the same time. It's really crazy that they were able to accomplish this in this episode. But I think it's going to take time to unpack it. This is one of those episodes I think is repeated viewing.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would benefit from going back, because even with the dream that they saw and the meaning behind that dream or set eyes, I'm intrigued. Like, this is a really good episode.
Before you go, I just want to say this, that again, linking up to that art, hypnotizing art class that they had. Someone mentioned something about, maybe this is not a dream, maybe this is a message. And I just want to just remind folks that the first text we saw in the first Dune film by Denis Villeneuve was the sound of like sound where it says dreams are messages from the deep. I feel that text is apropos for what we saw with that art class sequence. And what say you?
I say there's multiple theories you could come up with this. I think they have changed powers a little bit, but I think that could have been technically a message from the future, depending on what we're seeing or how we're seeing what we're seeing. And I wonder if it connects to Dune Messiah in a way, because there's other things that connect with Dune Messiah in the show, including something happened at the very end where they show the genesis of a set of I'll say this: face dancers. If you read it, you know it. if you don't, you don't. And
okay,
yeah, that was very cool to see. So I feel like this did so many things. It was part horror, part body horror, political intrigue, where everybody was playing the game so well. And even the obvious stuff, you saw why people would fall into these obvious traps. It even goes back to, in a way, to Babylon 5 of like, what do you want and who are you questions.
Yeah.
And I love that all. And that everything comes at a price. So even your OP power comes at a price, but how do we use this? So and egos, how easily egos are manipulated. It's so great. And a character mentions how something else got started and how you plunged us into this. I don't know. This show is like a masterclass in writing. And when we talk about good writing, this is what it is. When you want to have multiple plots converge into one thing, this is akin to me to a different level. That first season of Heroes. If you remember the show Heroes, that first season was amazing. Had like 7 different plots that all came to one head. And I feel like they do that intersections in this in every show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was amazing. The hints they dropped and how future could. I don't know how much I can say without trying to spoil it, but there's so many things
Just
you
don't
can
even
have.
do it. Don't even do it.
There's a lot of theories you can bring from this.
So real quick,
go ahead,
and before we go down that road, can you talk about, from your professional perspective on them trying to use like drawing to recall back the dreams to conquer the fear aspect? Can you break that down a little bit?
Somebody's been in therapy, but that's a cool horror thing to see a whole bunch of psychics like seeing the same thing. That's a great thing like that. But we use imagery and mind walking to help people uncover what their fears are, what the genesis of certain emotional responses are. A lot of times I'll get people into a relaxed state and I'll do like a mind exercise, and then we're walking through a path, and I give almost a blank kind of environmental thing, and then they shape it. So if I say a door, you could all picture a different type of door, right? But what would be crazy is if I did this with each one of you in a different room, and y'all all drew the same door, all described the same door. That would be like alarming, right? Like why would you? If I describe a house, and if I say right now, if I say think of a house, if y'all drew that down, it would be it'd probably be a different type of house, right? So it'd be very wait, they all described or drew the same house. So that was a very terrifying. I was thinking about like what would happen in a session if I saw multiple people throughout the day and they all described the same stimuli or the same terror that they were having. So I don't know. That was kind of cool. Did I answer the question? Sorry.
No, you did, because the reason why I asked you is because I kind of wanted you to kind of break the psychology side of it. But if hypothetically speaking that did happen and everybody had the same thing, like us on our eternal clock would be like, maybe the world's about to end. Maybe something is actually about to happen. Like we would instinctively think, if we're all connected with this, something's about to happen. It's going to affect everyone. Because it's just so impossible of a situation. So I thought that them using that to drive fear, and even like the old Reverend Mother kind of being like, at first she wasn't a believer in what was going on, and then she was like, yo, we got to do something about this. We got to tell everybody. And she was like, nah, if fear induced somebody to die, if we continue this role of fear, they're going to all sink and we're all done for. So it's kind of like, how do you battle fear of the unknown that you don't even understand or comprehend? So I just thought that concept was amazingly done in this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And I think with the image they all saw, I'm very interested. The way I always understood the visions in Dune is that we got to a point where we can calculate the odds and most likelihood things of happening. But there are characters in Paul line to take it to a next level. So I wonder if that's what they're seeing. So it'll be very, very interesting to or if that's what's being sent back to them. like
Imagine if we get in this show a hint of what's coming down in Messiah without, again, if folks have not seen the movies, if you're getting a hint at what's going to come down in the third film, but if you've seen if you've seen the two films, you're like, wait a minute, what the heck? What is this? And then you're like, wait a minute, stay tuned to Dune Messiah, ...
And there's so many different things you could do with this. Like certain characters can talk to well, we already saw it with the Reverend Mothers, how they passed down the thing. You were building a mythos where these television characters can theoretically show back up in a way in the movies, and you fill out this world more and more.
Think about that.
Yeah. And even as I've mentioned, as I alluded to a million times, as a character that shows up in almost all the stories that I can think of, that comes back in almost all the books, there's a million things you can do. But the thing I'm really excited as a character that did something at the end that we were all wondering what they could possibly do. And that was a very cool reference. So yeah.
And that's
I
on
know
the
I
books,
didn't say
right?
anything. Yeah, that is I remember this clearly.
Okay, cool. I love that. I love that. Like me and Sam are in the loop, but people like and have read the books. They're like, it's the Rick Dalton thing. They're like, oh, I remember reading that chapter. I remember reading that page. Cool. Right. I like that. I'll give my closing thoughts because again, I don't want to spoil too much for folks because the best case I can say is that go into the show cold. Like, I'm gonna say this. Should people have seen the films beforehand to get this, or can they watch it without the films?
I feel like if you watch this show, we haven't finished it, but I feel like by the time you get through at least half of this, you're gonna be like, wait, what? Wait, what is this worm? What is this saying? Like, I need to go and watch. I feel like it'd be almost impossible to finish this season, in my opinion, without going back to at least, Denis films. I really do. Like, it's too much intrigue. And again, I wanted to bring up like Desmond. Desmond said 2 episodes ago he was swallowed up by a worm, and then getting swallowed up by a worm, he inherited a new eye, and that new eye gave him the abilities that he has now. We literally saw that, and I still can't explain it. No, right?
Yeah, that's
so
wild.
It's like I don't know what that even freaking means. And I think even my head, like specifically this episode, and you guys have said it, like, who is behind the eyes? How far in the future does this go, or how far in the past does this come? Because I don't really know. So yeah, I to answer your question, I think that by the end of this, you're gonna want to watch it. Do you have to? I don't necessarily think so, but I do think that having the point of reference is very vital. Either way, whether you start with it or finish with it, you're gonna have to eventually come back to Dune.
It helps.
Yeah. If this show stays on the track it's on, to me, I would go. If someone didn't know anything about this universe, I'd be like, hey, let's watch this series. And then after the series, like, all right, well, let's see how some of these players play out. Like you don't need to watch. You don't need to have seen the movies to watch this show and still recognize how great the writing is and the plot. These are. What we recognize is like, oh crap, I know that name. Oh, this is where this started. This started. But like, I think you can do it either way.
Yeah.
I
agree. Another A+ for me. I still think that last episode was so good, just because it was more simplistic with the characters. But damn it, did they not make this plot so juicy? And like again, it was the court case, if you will. It was the art class. It was Talia feeling guilt and having her own nightmare, and the Harkonnens in their family drama. Every time we were around different scenes in the bar at the end, talking about how we're supposed to be fighting for this, but here we are smoking this stuff here, and it's for this, and it's like is this hypocritical of it? I love that each of these moments we were spending time was not boring and you were still engaged. You might have favorites, but you were so still engaged in all of it. And yeah, man, I don't know what else to come, but yeah, A+, go watch it. Ant, what would you rank in your final thoughts?
I'm still at A+ for this episode. I always say that if you can get two characters talking in a room and keep me intrigued, you've done most of the job. This reminds me of old school sci-fi. They didn't have the budget to wow you with explosives or anything. You had to come with the characters. You had to come with the storyline. You had to come with the imagination of the stakes. And so if you look at the best of Star Trek, the best of the old thing, they got you with people in a room talking, and yeah, maybe there's some sci-fi lingo in there, but it's the interactions of the characters, their emotions. And all we got pretty much were various scenes with characters in rooms. And so, you can have a ship landing that looked great. It looked great, but that's not what driving this show. And this is what I want to see. This is what I want to see going forward. I think maybe special effects became so cost effective that they lost sight of keep us here with caring about these interactions and going and these verbal combats. So A+. I think they're whoever's writing this, I need to see more of what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think just to hop on that, my always example that I go to now, especially with what I've seen of it, is Firefly. That show budget, I can't imagine it, and yet I care about those 9 characters. 9 characters in a ship. So that says a lot about that.
And that's what it is. It's I think people think the spectacle and the powers, but sci-fi for decades, fantasy for decades has been squint your eyes and just listen to the story you're being told. Because you might see a string. Old Doctor Who fans know how cheesy Doctor Who could get. Because they had no budget, but they had a story. And hey, we get it. You ain't got the budget for this, but we're here for the story. So we're gonna squint our eyes, make sure think we don't see that mic boom in the corner. We don't see the string on that bat, and we're here for it. We're here for it.
Sam?
Yeah, this is A+, first off. When I was watching this, at some point, I used to love the Sci-Fi Channel, old school Sci-Fi Channel, where you would look at a random movie that the budget was weird, or the series was just really long, but you look at Farscape or something like that, you're oh man, I'm in it, right? And I think this episode made me feel that. I remember, I think the first time I saw a movie like Tommyknockers, right? Random, just cheesy, really bad CG, but you're immersed into the sci-fi aspect of it that you don't care because it's giving you a good progressive story. And again, you got so many different story threads. Even with just Desmond alone, the intrigue of Desmond alone, the fact that he did all that, burnt these men alive, and then started to bleed from his back, and then kind of put himself to the side, and you're witnessing the relationship between the Emperor and Desmond continuously grow because the Emperor is being seduced by what's happening, while at the same time Desmond is fulfilling what his idea is his role. He realistically probably is going to die or succumb to all this, but it's going to be for a reason. And we don't know why. And again, that's great sci-fi. You're drawing a person in with a world you're just continuously building. And again, I don't know if we would have ever seen these different levels of Dune like this without a show like this.
No.
No. And again, I think Ant brought up Babylon 5. I mean, heck, Battlestar Galactica. I mean, there's so many different great shows back in the day that it wasn't about how good the CG was. It was how good and rich the story progressed and how much it could draw you in. And this is doing that in spades, man. I'm real curious. I don't know, we're watching this really early, you guys, but when you guys watch this, I want you guys to talk to us in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling. Let us know how you feel about this. But yeah, A+ for me.
Can I say one more thing? another thing about old school sci-fi was you could almost imagine what characters would do in situations because you understood their voice and how they acted to things. Whether it was Buffy Angel, whether it was Farscape, love Farscape. Somebody just reminded me that recently. But you could imagine you put those characters in a certain situation. I know what that character would do. Like so in this show, these are very distinct characters who are making logical choices for their perspective. Like Desmond always leans into a punch with all these political intrigue people going on. Desmond is like, oh, you got something on me? I'm just gonna admit to it. Now your power over me is gone.
Right.
Don't work for that. And they're not used to that. They're used to people keeping their secrets. And that. He leans into the punch, takes away its power. You got nothing. And he's done it multiple times. So I can picture, even though he's still a mystery, he's still a wild card in a lot of instances. But I see his behavior and how it can disrupt the machine that's been going on. And that's such a great personality detail in this world. I know we were ending, but I just had to.
No, that's fine. It's the monkey with the wrench and all this politics stuff. I'm gonna say this to you folks: keep an eye out with that triangle dynamic between the Emperor, the Empress, and the wild card. Especially, I'm gonna say now, keep an eye out for the Empress. I'm gonna keep an eye on her because I'm like, what the hell? She's not emoting much, and yet she's making all these big moves that are shaking things around. But until that time, Ant, where can people find you?
Right here on wherever I'm right now, JVS, Ronan Change, or doing business was busy. I'm gonna get his catch. Business was busy. That's what we're gonna come with that catchphrase soon enough. Anyway, yeah, but right here.
And I'm Ronan Unchained. You can find me on my channel on all the socials. I'm going to be doing as much coverage as I can about this show. I'm loving how surprised I am with this show and how much I'm a Dune fan, but I wasn't really looking forward to it. And I was very apprehensive of watching the trailers, and I'm thankful I went as cold as I can with this show. But yeah, please watch our reviews. I think we break these episodes down as much as we can in a non-spoilers or spoilers manner. And subscribe to TeamJVS. The range is there for all your desires and content in pop culture. And until then, Sam.
Yeah, we out, y'all. Peace.